All right, if we could just stand for the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If everyone could just take a second to make sure their cell phones are on silent or off, that would be great. I'd like a motion to approve the minutes from July 5th, 2016.
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes.
Second?
Second motion.
All in favor? Ayes have it. Correspondence, Kathleen?
I have a budget modification from the police department, budget modification amendment from the supervisor's office, correspondence from Mr. Plotsky regarding the UTA, United Talmudical Academy, and the fully executed consent judgment, certificate of liability insurance for the Otisville Fair, supervisor's report for June 2016, anonymous letter received on July 7th regarding Dragon Springs, another anonymous letter received the same day regarding Dragon Springs, correspondence from Charter Communications that they have merged with Time Warner Cable, resignation effective 7/6/16 from police officer Brian Corcoran. I have a hold budget modification for the highway department. I don't know if that's going through tonight.
Yeah, we're holding that still.
Still, okay.
Thank you.
And then a letter received from Frank Ketchum regarding a contradiction between local laws 4 and 5. And that's all I have.
Thanks, Kathleen.
Okay.
Committee reports. Matt?
Just in regards to the email from the police chief, the checklist for the hiring policy or procedure and the application, the written application for the town's own application he sent through. The only comment I think we should add to the checklist was the date of completion and just a signature panel. I came up with that today, that's why I haven't sent an email in response back to that, just I think a minor change, and
We actually talked about the same thing at those.
I think it's an easy enough thing.
Yeah.
Other than that, you're good with? Okay.
Yep, I think we should put a motion through to vote on that this evening and put it in effect. And that would be it.
Brian?
I got a couple of things. Little League, All-Stars, actually our minors, girls age 9 through 10, won their District 19 championship against Monroe Woodbury. So tonight they are actually playing their second game of Section 3 tournament down in Hawthorne, New York. Football, I have some things that they wanted me to share. And I'll just read it from their email. Basically, July 22nd through September 4th, they're actually doing 15% off at Modell's with a attached coupon here, which I printed off if anyone's interested in it. But basically, all it is it's I should give you this to look at my table, but you basically go to Modell's, get 15% off. Friends and family, and obviously everyone here, because I'm going to offer it to you through them, are entitled to that discount. Devon's Gate, I just wanted to see how the, I talked to Patty and I realized that Anna had come down to hang up the flyer too. So they have double flyers, which is good. But how did the drop box?
About half a garbage, I think.
Wow.
Half a large garbage bag.
Okay.
Yeah, it was very well received, actually.
Were you there for it or not?
I was.
Okay. What was some feedback? I'm just curious.
A surprise. A lot of people hadn't read the flyer, but they liked the service.
Okay, good. No, I like it. Thank you. That's all I have.
Jim?
I spoke with Lucy Joyce in regard to the contracts. David, she said that, you guys have been going back and forth. I guess someone on their board had a question, in regard to something, and that's why they haven't, signed them and returned them. So she said that Andrea will probably, because she's going to be away, make sure that she's at the next meeting in August, and, you know, being able to move forward with that.
Okay.
Anything else?
No, that's all.
Dominic?
I've been out of the loop for a few weeks, but I did speak to Lisa on Wednesday with summer camp. Summer camp is in full swing. Kids are having a blast. They're a little warm this year, it's a little hot. But so far, that's all I got from Lisa. As far as the sewer plant goes, the only thing I have in the mail from the engineering firm is that they're continuing the process to start going on with the renovations to the treatment plant. Everything has been filed with the DEC, everything has been approved.
Highway, Dean?
I'd like to thank the VFW. They dropped off new flags for our flagpole out here today. I didn't get a chance to put them up yet, but there's a new American flag and a VFW flag also. I want to thank Julie. She's been doing some training for the highway department. It's been going pretty good. Leap off programs, and she's just basically showing the video and doing the certificates and everything that's required by the state, so it's working out pretty good. Highway Department, we still have chip seal to do. Tentatively scheduled next week. I don't have exact days yet, but it's probably gonna be 2 days of chip sealing, and then we'll get back to line striping. We did some striping, but we went out there the second day and we had problems with the machine. We'll get it right, and hopefully by the beginning of August, we'll have our roads all resurfaced and restriped. That's all I have.
Perfect. One thing for you, Dean, is, not this past Friday and the Friday before, I know we had a skeleton crew, we have a skeleton crew on Fridays. If you could thank all of them, they came together, got all of the fence up, for the parking. The guys looked like they were about to keel over when I was done with summer rec that day and stopped and saw them. However, one thing, obviously, you and I talked about it on the weekend, and it just kind of fell out of the loop, is if somebody could run up there after lunch on Fridays.
Yeah,
And I didn't think to mention it to you, and it was just an oversight.
that's just plain my oversight. That's why I went up there and took care of it, because normally I have the guys clean the park pavilion Monday morning and Friday morning, forgetting about summer rec having their lunch there, so, but it
Yeah.
has to be done Friday afternoon.
Perfect.
That's the change already been taken care of.
Perfect. Thanks, Steve. Fire department?
18 calls so far for July, 350 man-hours for that, 8 EMS, 1 fire police, 4 public service calls, 2 standbys, an MVA, a CO, and 1 is mutual aid. Had 2 drills with 84 man-hours and 136 in work details. The new air packs will be in at the end of this week or beginning of next week, so that's way ahead of schedule, which is good for us. Our Wednesday wedding the kids is going pretty well, so everybody seems to be pretty happy running around doing that. Also, the large drill for September is going well. I had sent out an email to the departments, and I received about half returned so far. We have that meeting. First meeting's going to be Monday at the senior center at 7 o'clock. So if you are available for that. And lastly, about 2 meetings ago, Chief Masters asked if we were going to have that meeting with the other 2 departments, with yourself and Dominic. Any update on that?
No, but I will make sure that I have it updated by our next meeting.
Thank you.
Police, Jim?
You stole my thunder with Devon's Gate, but it's already covered. I really have nothing. I'm here for any questions, if there's any questions on the budget line and or the young man that we're asking the board to look at, Mr. Max Sander.
Thanks, Jim. Village of Motorville, Diane?
Not a whole lot this evening. Of course, a reminder that the Village Yard Sale is coming up on August the 6th, so if anyone has any questions about it, they can be directed to me or to the Village Hall. And we have a number of different phone numbers to call depending on what the people are asking about, whether they want to set up at their house, they want to do it at the church, they want to do it at the park. The only other thing that I was going to report on from the village was about our joint DCO officer, but because he just came in, I'm gonna let him report about a couple of inquiries that he had from residents on Bowden Avenue, the follow-up that he did and what he found out.
Perfect. Perfect.
Tom Youngkin, the DCO. I got a call from a resident on Bowden Avenue who thought they had coyotes on their property. After speaking to the actual witnesses who saw and heard the animals, in my expert opinion, it was a family of gray foxes. I gave them information about gray foxes and how they act. I met with the homeowner, I looked at his property, I gave him a couple of ideas that he could do to help deter them from going on his property. I reached out to the local DEC officer, Chris Latimer, and I gave him the information, and he said when he had a chance he would stop by and talk to them too. He pretty much said exactly what I had said to the people. He's going to tell them pretty much the same thing. But they're not coyotes. They're, in my expert opinion, a gray fox.
Perfect. And one of the reasons that you're here tonight, if you want to just, I've told the board nothing, so I just got the information in today, but if you want to, I'll make them copies.
Yeah, if you want me to give them some basic information,
Yeah.
so that, okay. All right. The town hasn't done an enumeration in quite a long time. The Ag and Market Department recommends that they're done every 5 years. I've been trying to come up with a cost-efficient way to do an do you know what an enumeration is? We want people to to license their dogs, okay? So periodically, it behooves the town to put out information reminding people that it's the law that they remind that they license their dogs and what steps they need to take to do that. When I went to the ACO-DCO Ag to Market Conference this year, I met a gentleman from the Canine License Registry. And I've been talking with him, and we laid out a plan. And how it would work is they would do a mailing. Okay, it would be, this card would go out to every home in the town. Okay, and basically it explains to them what's required. There would be a time period involved, what information that they need. Now they can start by just sending this card back, and it would be addressed to the town. And we would do it for a month. There'd be a month time period. About 2 weeks before it ended, they would send out a second one, if we so choose. Tell them it's their second final notice, and it would be a different color. Okay, it's the most cost-efficient way to do it. That company will handle everything. Chad has copies of the information. He added maps to it. What mapped area would be covered. It's pretty much the whole town of Mount Hope. After that time period, we have the right to charge an enumeration fee. If they license their dogs after that time period, they'd be subject to an additional cost. It seems to me that it's a cost-efficient way to do an enumeration. Okay, now Chad has information on it. He has copies of this. So you'll be able to look at the costs and everything, and then if you have any questions, you can write those down and I can address them for you. All right?
Yeah, we were hoping to, Tom came in Friday, we were hoping to have everything, but we didn't have the information until today, so, Tom called me before the meeting, I said, maybe if you just come and let the board know, at least.
Give you a basic idea. That's the premise behind it. It's to encourage people to get their dogs licensed, and the cards will have the information on it, exactly what is required under the law and what they need to do. All right, and it would only be, because this is considered a postcard, they're gonna send this back, all they would have to do is put a postcard stamp on right? But it's the most cost-efficient way to do this. The other towns that have done this so far have had really, really good results, and their influx of funds from people complying has outweighed the cost of doing it for the other towns that have done it so far. So it's definitely something for you guys to consider. If you want to do an enumeration, this is going to be the most cost-efficient way to do it.
Thanks, Tom.
All right?
I have one thing I want to add to Tom. Tom, since you're here and since I'll have Dean here too, the signs you asked about putting up in the park for dogs,
Yes.
they're on order.
Oh, great.
Like, fair to say that, Dean?
Yes, so after you stopped in the office the other day, I called the vendor and I'm glad you stopped.
Good.
Because he never processed the order.
Okay.
So, and it should be here next week.
Since I don't see you that often, they'll be here. There you go. Okay. Thank you.
Perfect.
Chad, since you haven't technically left the village yet, just following up on what Tom had to say, I would just ask if the board decides to proceed with the proposal, to keep in mind that the village dogs, the dogs in the village are licensed through the town, so that we would want to be included in
This,
that.
you are.
Okay. Thank you. That's it.
This is the village also, because you're within the town of Mount.
Right.
I'm sorry, can I ask you a question about the foxes?
Yes.
So when you were giving them tips as to what to do to try to avoid it happening, because we've got a family in our yard, shares with us and the neighbor, what are some suggestions that we have?
Okay, no kind of food source. You don't put your garbage out to a garbage day, you clean your grill, you don't feed your animals outside. If you have a compost, you need to have it wired and covered. Also, the area that they're using, basically it's a travel corridor, which is why they're going through these people's yard. I suggested on the one side of the yard, which they typically don't use at night, that they put some solar lights up. When the fox comes through, it's going to turn that light on. It might push them back further into the woods.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Okay, so my budget modification that I put through last meeting, I had a decrease instead of an increase. So Kathleen, do you have that? You could read
Yeah.
the amended one that I messed up on?
Increase the summer rec revenue account B 2001 in the amount of 48,000, and increase the summer rec personal services line B 7310.1 in the amount of 48,000.
Need a motion to approve the amended budget modification.
Make that motion.
Second?
Second motion?
All in favor?
Aye.
I do have, as promised, this is going to be the new, the new building department hours. These will be effective September 1st. There's still some documentation in there and stuff. David, would you give this to Kevin? Sure. There's some forms and stuff in there that we're gonna be updating and changing to the town logo and what have you through the month of August, and these will be effective. Pretty much they're in effect now, but I don't want people to come down and say, hey, look, these here. So this will be effective September 1st. Basically, it'll increase our representation to have somebody to talk to by 250% over what we have right now. No additional cost to the town, so it's a win-win. I will put this on the website, make it effective September 1st, and everyone will have it.
Question. When you put these hours on the website, can you put town clerk's hours on the website also?
They are. It's on that page.
Yeah, okay, that was from last meeting. Motion to approve the supervisor's report for June 2016.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Need a motion to approve the resignation of Brian Portman effective July 6th, 2016. Second?
Second motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution to hire Maxim Sanders, part-time non-competitive police officer, effective July 19th, 2016.
I'll make the motion.
Second?
Second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it. The cluster housing, David, do you have anything on that before we
I don't. I've been in touch with the engineer. They're going to be putting together the required secret documents for when it's adopted. But otherwise, I would recommend 2 meetings from now is the public hearing date.
Okay, now, we already have public hearings coming up, right, Kathleen? Or is it the second?
The second meeting in August and the first meeting in September, and they'll both be over at the senior center.
Okay. So we can do this in with that, David?
Sure. I mean, you'd have to advertise this as a separate
Right.
public hearing
Absolutely.
with the same date, certainly.
I mean, I don't know that it's gonna be a highly visited thing, I don't know, maybe it will be. So, how about a motion to approve setting a public hearing for a cluster housing moratorium on August, I'll have a date.
15th.
15th? 2016 at the Senior Center, 7 Baker Street, at 7:30 p.m. We can do them all at the same time, correct?
Well, the other one is gonna be advertised for 7 o'clock for the old school.
Okay, so then we'll do at 7:05.
Do you think the other one's gonna be over in 5 minutes?
I don't, but that's okay, we can always start it late, we can't start it early.
I'll make a motion to approve the public hearing date of August 15th at 7:30 at the senior center.
We need 2 motions for the one in September also, or can we do them all?
No,
No,
those were already
done.
set last meeting.
No, I thought we needed, I'm sorry, I thought we just said we needed 2, or just one for the cluster housing.
Just one.
Oh,
Just one.
okay.
No, the 2 is for the old school.
Yeah.
No, I knew that, I thought we needed 2.
Okay.
I second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
County fair sign request, basically our sign that is down, our sign holder or our property that is down by the ball field. The Lions Club would like to hang a sign there, as they have always done, July 23rd, 2016 through August 29th, 2016, to promote and thank sponsors for the fair. So I guess I need a motion to approve the Lions Club to use the sign from July 23rd, 2016 to August 29th, 2016.
Make that motion.
Second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
We are flying. Let's have it. Police Department budget modification. Do you have that, Kathleen?
Yeah.
Can you read that?
Please increase the revenue line account A 2680 by the amount of $10,071.37 for a check received for a motor vehicle insurance claim. Then increase the revenue line in police contractual account A 3120.4 for $10,071.37 for payment of repairs to the vehicle.
Yeah, so, basically, this is an insurance payment we got for damage to a police car. And initially, we had thought we would be able to sign over the check. But unfortunately, we were unable to sign over the check, so basically, we're gonna deposit it and then write a check from our account. So it's kind of a flip-flop, it's no additional cost to the town, it's just a little bit money. So a motion to approve the resolution as read.
I'll make that motion to approve the resolution.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve the new application for the police department and checklist effective July 19th, 2016, with the
Signature
signature
and date of completion
and date
to
of
be added.
completion to be added to it.
Make that motion.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to pay the bills?
Actually, I had a question.
Sure.
What's that?
No, I can live with that. I was just gonna say the initials and show the number, like signatures one.
So, Boots, they have a $300 allotment for Boots, right?
Is this highway?
Well, these are, yeah, I'm
Okay.
sorry, yeah, so for Alice's Wonderland, so $300 allotment, and we have $350 each. So I was wondering what that was.
Again, I don't see the vouchers, so maybe Dean, do you know what this?
Bobby's, work groups. Like, what, the things for you are less than $300, it's what, $79.95? Well, no, I'm just, but, so the allotment though would be, what, because if yours is $279, then obviously if the groups are more. Well, just, I wasn't sure that that's what that was, it didn't say what that was, so this, so he put this in,
They added together the two prices.
so it should be 58, right?
They rang it up. All the way.
Make the adjustment, can you make the adjustment on that?
So he just needs to, what, make up the difference then?
Yeah. Okay. So motion to approve the bills with one noted adjustment to be made.
I make that motion?
Second,
Second motion.
all in favor?
Aye.
David, I had asked you today to look into one of the correspondence, the local law number 4, local law number 5,
Mhm.
the solar. Do you have any?
I do. The question was regarding whether or not the two laws have a discrepancy with one of the laws permitting rooftop and building mounted solar collectors in particular zones, and then local law number 5 not being specific as to what zones. As far as I can tell, there is no conflict. It's the way we wrote them up. Local law number 4 was the actual substantive provisions as to where you could have which type of facility. Local law number 5 is adopting a methodology, simply saying that in order to obtain a permit for something that's permitted in your zone, you could submit the county permit instead of the town basically reinventing the wheel and doing a brand new permit based on that. We just use the county permit. So there's nothing substantive as to what facilities are restricted to what zoning districts in local law number 5. It's just a method for how you apply for the permit.
So in RP1 and RP2, you can still do rooftop solar or anything up to 12? Okay.
Well, yeah, it says except for those two. The rooftop and the building mounted solar are permitted in all zoning districts in the town except the RP1 and RP2. And then the ground mounted and the freestanding are also prohibited in those districts.
Okay. Public participation. Ready, come right up to the. Oh, right there, I'm sorry, the
Right
podium. Sorry,
All right.
sorry, Lee, you haven't been here.
Lee Reynolds, Field Road, Louisville. I'm here to actually alert the board to a problem that we had over the recent 4th of July holiday season. A couple of weeks before the actual 4th, we on Field Road listened to a lot of fireworks. Now, we know that the town has an ordinance about fireworks, and the state has one as well. But that didn't mean that 43 Field Road didn't have them and have a lot of them. There were a couple of other folks from the village who were witness to this. On the 4th of July, actually, I had had enough. And about 9:30, I went out to actually validate or verify the address. I got down to the house and there were probably 7 to 8 cars parked in 2 parking pads and then on the street. Well, I wasn't going to confront anybody, but I just wanted to make sure that that's where the fireworks were being set off. So I went on to Seabolt, turned left, took another left onto Orchard and came back to Main Street, Otisville, hoping that maybe there would be a police car there. It was silent at the time that I passed the house. I did drive down Penny Lane and circle. It was silent at that point. got down to Main Street, and a police car passed by and turned into Veterans Park. So I followed him in, and I identified myself, and I told him my concern, and he said he would check it out, and I suggested that maybe he wanted to go with someone else along. It was quiet. I went home, he went on, I followed him up Field Road, turned in my driveway, he went on. I went to bed, and probably 20 minutes after, the barrage started again. And anybody who was there can verify it, Diane can verify it. These were professional grade fireworks with high loft and huge concussions at the end of the explosions. I got out of bed, got dressed, I went down and I stood on my front porch with my iPhone and recorded 42 seconds of this before my phone maxed out on memory. So from the time it took me to get up and move, I don't know, it probably was at least a 2 to 3 minute volley, but that wasn't the first volley of the night. The actual concussion started before dark, and my concern is twofold. First of all, at a village meeting that Diane can speak of, there were other residents there who said that complaints went into the police department. One neighbor said that he had talked to the police 5 times. The answer that one of them had gotten, and I don't know whether it's true, but the answer was that someone knocked on the door to talk to the owners or the residents there, and no one answered, so the assumption was that there was no one home. Well, the fireworks started up again. Another neighbor who is at about 44, 46 Field Road, across the street, told of an incident, an exchange between himself and the resident at the time, and the resident threatened him, promised there would be even more going on. And he claims that that night, that series of fireworks was directed at his house. And he said he had the materials dropping down on his pine trees and his house roof. So it brings to mind just a number of concerns. First of all, concern for the New York State law, the concern for the Town of Mount Hope law, the concern that, you know, there were appeals made to the police department and apparently nothing done. I'm concerned for what license this gives to other residents in the village and other residents of the Town of Mount Hope that, hey, you can do anything on the 4th of July and nothing will happen. So I need to just make you aware of it, and I'm hoping that there would be some others here to just validate what I have to say and probably fill in some of the things that I maybe neglected to mention or was unaware of.
Thanks, Mike. Do you want to,
Other than the fact that I understand the chief fielded a number of these complaints last meeting.
Yep.
And, yeah, I think we could have handled it better, and I'm sure you will do so next year.
I know, obviously, we had met, Matt was in on it, we had talked about, you know, there's graduation, and there's other events where we have additional police on.
Right, we definitely.
It just so happens that the 4th of July extended the weekend, so it was like a free-for-all for all weekend, where normally, obviously, graduation is on one particular day. So depending on when 4th of July falls, we'll
Yeah,
have
we
additional
have
staff.
extra staff, and I think what we're gonna do next year is we'll bring a supervisor in on that night, and make sure everything happens.
I know too, though, that Matt was even told on another incident that a certain thing happened, transpired with the phone call, and we were able to pull the 911 calls, and that exactly wasn't exactly what happened.
The follow-up to someone being told on the phone the cops are too busy to come wasn't what was told on the phone. There was 3 neighbors who called about the same incident, similar to this. This was over in Beverly and New Vernon. And after 3 neighbors talking in the street, came up with the idea, well, they haven't shown up yet. One neighbor told the other they're too busy to come, and that's what I was told, not 911 on the phone said it. It ended up the state police did respond because Mount Hope was off duty. So that's where that misinterpretation came from. But then again, like Chad had mentioned, I think we can staff accordingly, Is there, Jim, is there any procedure, anything the officers would do in a fire complaint? Like the Beverly Road incident, after Scofus had responded, as soon as the car drove away, the fire was off again, do you make a repeat pass by the house or the area, or?
Yeah, we
anything
spent
like
quite a
that?
bit of time on Field Road actually as well. I personally came before the last meeting, I spent about 45 minutes over there. Sat on it, of course, like you said, it's intermittent. The guy is, here's my thought, is first, I think he's a rental there. And my thought this year is I would follow up with his landlord and tell him what kind of tenants he has in there. If he's refusing to answer the door, and then he's taunting the neighbors, maybe there's not a criminal charge to be had this year. But yes, we'd certainly put that on the hot spot and make return passes.
I apologize for everything now, Lee, but it's
Well, it's
past,
not your fault.
It's past the fact at this point.
I don't blame you, but it's a flagrant violation of state law and the town's code, and I would hate for it to encourage that kind of thing again, because, I get it off the top of Shovel Street, which is in the town, and Bill Baines, who lives up there, I asked him rather humorously a couple of years ago if it had been his fireworks, and he said, no, they're coming off the town property further up the hill. So I just would hate for it to mushroom into something that becomes much larger.
On the state scale, I've learned more in the last week on fireworks than probably I thought I would ever have to learn, as to, depending on how big the explosive is how many feet it has to be away from the audience, and how many feet it has to be away from the street. All of those, what I'm saying is I had no idea there were that many stipulations. So when they do the shoot over at the park, each thing has to be, this has to be that far away from the road, and then you have to have where the audience is, and then it has to be measured, and it has, so it's pretty scary. I know years ago we had a couple of neighbors in Hidden Valley that like to do a lot of fireworks. And I have 6 acres behind me that's nothing but woods and very dry. And it could be, they're pretty to look at, but I'd like to look at them when professionals do it. But we live and learn, and we obviously know they're never gonna go away. People are always gonna do them. It's just a matter of us being more prepared next time. Anybody else?
Warren Pearson. We've decided to craft a petition regarding the commercial zoning laws, and I want to read it to you, and then I'll give you a copy, and I'm going to try to get some signatures behind me on this. We, the undersigned, hereby express our enthusiastic support for solar energy and solar farms as a means to provide a safe, reliable, and environmentally beneficial method of providing energy to our community. We hereby petition the Town of Mount Hope, Town Board, and Planning Board to expeditiously review and consider amendments to the zoning code to permit solar farms as a permitted or special use permit in all zoning districts within the town, with the exception of the Resource Preserve RP district, and to use the model zoning ordinance prepared and recommended by the New York State and law recently adopted in the town of Minnesink as models when adopting Mount Hope's local law to permit and regulate solar farms. So I'm gonna try to get some signatures on this, maybe it'll get things going. Did you want a copy?
Sure.
Okay, give it to you, and I've got it. All right, thank you.
My name is Rob Garrity. I work with Borrego Solar, and I've had the pleasure of working with Warren and Jackie Pearson for about a year now, lease on their property to develop the solar projects that Warren was referring to. Warren was talking about the whole moratorium. But I wanted to ask the town if they would consider allowing our application to go before the planning board, so that while you're looking at the moratorium and you're also actually crafting your bylaw, as you're looking at our projects, these are 2 large-scale projects, each 11 acres. This is what the bylaw pertains to. Be something you could look at and allow us to permit on the condition that we meet whatever bylaw is eventually adopted.
Questions?
The moratorium is in effect already. So you're asking us to bypass the moratorium?
I'm asking you to consider our application while the moratorium stands, and that our application would be contingent upon, the approval would be contingent on meeting whatever the bylaw eventually says. So we would be doing it at risk, realizing that, if you come up with something that's in the bylaw that we haven't met, then we'd have to alter our design. So I'm asking you to, not be given any grant around the bylaw that's coming and for you to have your process, but we've done wetlands on the property, we've done title, we've done first and second round studies with Orange and Rockland. We have NYSERDA awards in place for the projects. They're situated in a way that you won't even see them from the road right now. The majority of, about half of what we believe the substation here at Otisville take would be met by this project. And I think that when you look at how you want solar to be rolled out in your community as can be allowed by the bylaw, this would be a model project. We worked with Pearson's to design a system that would allow them continued grazing of sheep within the solar array itself. So, yeah, that's the request.
Do you have any comment, David?
I don't think it's possible. There's a law that would be directly in conflict with, that's already on the books, and we're basing an approval on a set of regulations that have not yet been determined. I don't know how you go through a regulatory process without any regulations. So I mean, I can research if it's possible, but off the cuff, I don't see how this could any way be legal.
Okay, John felt like it was something that we should suggest that, if the town wanted to have that, allow something like that in, maybe it wouldn't be approved. Maybe it would just be something that's before the planning board. The town would become acquainted with what large-scale solar looks like, solar that meets other bylaws, and
Well, something like that, you could always just go to the planning board on an informal and then just ask them to take a look, saying, when the regulations are in place, this is what we're hoping to do. But the town can't grant any approvals on regulations that don't exist.
Okay.
You're just asking for us to have it and consider it while we're doing this.
That's all.
Just to get our foot in the door, that's
Yeah,
what
you're not
kinda we
asking
wanna
for
do.
approval, right?
No,
You're
no,
just-
that's for, yeah, whatever the mechanism would be, or whatever you can and can't do, I'm not asking you to change the rules, I'm just saying, can we talk about this, so that while you're, composing the bylaw, consider our project and what, maybe you'll think about things you didn't think about because you hadn't actually looked at the project, consider the implications.
That's fine, there are gonna be input steps as far as the master plan and the new zoning law go. I don't have any problem with that, but it just sounded like from what you said, you wanted some sort of approval to do it before we had a law that allows you to do it. And that's what I'm concerned about.
I mean, John, you recommended that I ask that, and you felt like it was like.
Yeah, if you're, I mean, to have input in the process, that's fine. I don't have a problem with that.
There are ongoing meetings, and actually, Matt and Dominic are both on the committee to redo the master plan.
Okay.
So if you gave them something when they have their next meeting, I'm sure they could,
Do you want to present them with the project that you would like to do pending what the law's going to be?
Can I just say one thing too? Regal Solar and Mr. Garrity, they've invested a lot of time and a lot of money in this. And, you know, he's a patient man, but we have to look at this realistically. I mean, he can't wait around for this forever. I mean, I'm not saying forever, I mean months, years, I don't know. But he's being patient, and I just wish that we could do the best we can to get this through. I mean, it would be good for everyone, not just me. Anytime you can take property and not put houses on it, that's what we want to try to do. You know? So, and you're gonna help the family farm, be there, and not worry about it maybe becoming sold like my neighbor down the road, who's selling her horse farm. So, it's just a win-win for everybody.
I have a question for you. You mentioned keeping grazing area. This is considered a commercial scale project, so it would be a commercial entity.
Right. We
How
expect
can
to
you-
come off the agriculture exemption
Yeah.
and pay for those chargebacks.
It's just a,
I just wanted to make sure that's
Yeah.
meant you, because you said you'd allow it to be used for agriculture.
Sure, I mean, for the Pearson's use, right, but we understand it wouldn't be classified as an agricultural use, and would not have an agricultural exemption anymore. It's something that we've assumed in our financial analysis of the field. So it's more tax revenue for the town. When's the next meeting for the comprehensive plan?
Thursday afternoon.
5 o'clock here.
Okay.
Do you have anything you could leave us, or?
Yeah, I'll get something here
Okay.
before Thursday.
You can even email it, you know,
Okay.
if you even emailed it to Kathleen, she'd make sure that they have it.
Great. Great. Okay.
So I mean, I don't see, I mean, I would just go ahead and go in front of the planning board and, you know, and show it to them so that there's something to consider for while we're, you know.
The planning board will be here on Thursday also.
Okay.
So,
Wednesday.
every department will be here. So.
Okay. Wednesday and Thursday. Okay. I'll spend the night. Bring my time. Thanks.
Anybody else? Benny?
Yes, thank you, Paul. I had something to speak, I have another issue with the police department I want to bring up, but as long as Lee was here, I just want to back him up, and I know you heard it from the mayor. This went on 4 nights in a row, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Now, I understand possibly Sunday night, they didn't have help, the chief had to work and one other officer, but as far as I'm concerned, it was handled poorly by the police department. I know they did knock on the door, they didn't get an answer, and I think it was Monday night, my neighbor told me that I called the complaint in. He said that the officer went down, and the guy hollered, if you don't get off my property, I'm gonna call state police. So he told my neighbor without a search warrant, there's nothing we can do. So I did tell him one day I would go to state police, so he did, and they weren't in the office, he went over to Houston. I guess with dispatch from Middletown, but they might have been out on patrol. He did go to him, see if he could get additional help, if that was the issue with the help, you know, that, because he was too easy to catch. I mean, if they were in the right place, they dropped an officer off, all you had to do was walk right through, you could have handcuffed him and took him away, and that wasn't done. Whether it was manpower or what, I don't know, but I was totally disappointed in the issue, and having listened to that before, and I like fireworks. But I believe there is a law about launching fireworks, isn't there, in New York State, anything launching? Well, anybody on patrol in the village of Otisota down Mount Hope had to see these fireworks, because they were just as big, and it's what went on down at the park the other night. The other issue I have is, your officers start at 6 o'clock in the morning. Is it possible to have them, 1 day or 2 days to start like at 5 o'clock? And, I have an issue with Highland Avenue and with Seabolt Avenue. I go for a walk about 5:30 in the morning, and the raceway is on Highland Avenue and Seabolt. I mean, it's to the point where it's ridiculous. I didn't know if they could maybe switch an officer or two, you know, 1 or 2 days a week. It doesn't happen
It's
every day.
5 days a week?
Huh?
You're having problems 5 days a week during?
No, it doesn't happen every day. But, I mean, it's, I couldn't even tell you it happens every Wednesday or every Tuesday, you know what I mean? It's sporadic.
We have assigned cars to both of those locations on that complaint in the past.
But at 6
Like
o'clock.
you said, it's
6 o'clock
sporadic.
is too late. You know,
5 o'clock is it, huh?
Yeah, I leave the house at 5:30, so I'm on Highland Avenue maybe 5:45, 10 to 6. So even if they started at 5:30,
I'm sure we could, I'm sure.
I'm not saying it doesn't happen after 6, but I'm home by then.
No, we've gotten complaints where it's,
And I
we've
do-
gotten those complaints before.
I do appreciate you doing Field Road last week. I know you were on, and I don't
Yeah,
know what
so-
happened, what transpired, but
I actually had to get down to the concert when I was there.
Yeah.
It was quiet for 40 minutes while I sat there, but that's the way those things are.
yeah, I know.
Same with the speeders.
He's a real shyster.
Yeah.
He knows what he's doing.
Well, I think personally, I'm gonna speak to the landlord.
I know the landlord personally, I worked with him, and he was taking his daughter to the rec program, and the one day he was getting in his car when I went in for my granddaughter, and that's almost 2 weeks ago, I haven't seen him since.
Well,
Believe me, I plan on talking to him. He's gonna
Maybe
get-
if you can get me the contact information, I'll do the same.
Yeah, all right. It's just too bad that someone wasn't in the village about, I think it happened about 20 to 8 this morning. Some girl came from, like, Presbyterian Church up to the village. I don't even want to guesstimate how fast she was going. She was unbelievable. I mean, if you blink, you missed her. That's how fast she was going.
We have been putting cars on Field Road, but that's been the hot spot for the last couple of weeks. Because we've been getting those complaints.
Is there, do you know if there's a law about backing out into traffic when you're parking?
We gotta fail to yield. You got, correction, you gotta yield when you're backing out.
But it is legal to back out.
Yeah, you gotta yield when you're in traffic.
All right, thank you. Thank you.
Anybody else? You're up.
I said over here so we don't have to watch it. Maybe I'm gonna be a little louder because on video I can't hear myself. So I'm not really shouting. Tommy, wait. I live on in Bowden Avenue, and I did not call Thomas, but I've spoken with him in the past. I know him and know his family very well. And I'm not an expert on coyotes or foxes, but I've certainly been talking to the neighbors, and I've talked to the DEC myself. He did not, maybe you talked to him after I did, or we did, I should say. We had a roundtable discussion of neighbors, and they didn't indicate to us at that time that anything was said about foxes. And the one neighbor said he thought he knew the difference between foxes and coyotes. I don't know. So I'm just gonna ask you, Tommy, you said in your expert opinion, did you actually go to that person's yard?
Yes.
And look, and what are you basing your opinion on?
What I'm basing my opinion on were the actual eyewitnesses that I spoke to, their description of the animal and the sound that it made. Now, when I talked to the woman, she described it to me. I actually did a fox bark for her, and she said, that's it. And then she went online between the time I spoke to her on the phone and the time I actually went to their house, and she Googled it. And she said that I was exactly right. It was a gray fox. They could tell by the sound, and they were the ones that actually saw the animals. Anybody else that I spoke to hadn't seen it.
I can speak for my husband and myself, have not seen it.
Yeah, these are the people that actually saw the animals and that they barked at. And actually, coyotes don't bark. They yip and they howl, where foxes do bark.
Okay. Well, because of the concept of, if you know in Bowden Avenue, it's a small residential street, well, you know it.
Yeah.
I'm sure everybody pretty much does, but he has the complainant, I guess the main complainant, whose yard the foxes were found in, have very young children, and they were concerned because they had approached a fire pit and so on. You know, they thought it was very unusual that these animals had come that close to human beings and the fire. So anyway, that being said, thank you. And is there anything different than what you have said? Is there anything different between coyotes and foxes that
Well,
doesn't matter?
coyotes are pack animals, foxes are not. The reason that they were seeing 4 animals at the same time, it was either an adult male and female with 2 kids, or it was one adult with 3 kids. Typically, you're only gonna see a family group.
And they're not usually aggressive?
Not typically. It's actually the third person that I've spoke to where gray fox was a little more aggressive than normal this year, and one of them being me, when I had a gray fox go after my chickens at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. It's not typical behavior, but the more they get acclimated to people, the less afraid they are of people. That area, that west side in Bowdoin is a travel corridor. I actually went in there when I was with him, and there's game trails through there. What's happening is at the south end of Bowdoin, you have that large woodlot that goes over to Tally Ho.
Right.
At the other end of it, you've got hundreds of acres that go to the jail property. That strip of woods behind there is a travel corridor. Okay, now these animals have been living there a long time, so they're starting getting kind of used to animals, like they're not gonna bother me. That him sitting there and barking at him when he shined the light, that was a challenge.
Okay,
He was telling me, I'm not afraid of you.
okay, okay.
All right, what else you got?
What else do I got? Hurry up. Fireworks. Nothing happened to us or around us, but we were coming home on Route 211 in the evening, on the evening of the 4th of July, and we could see the fireworks over the trees on 211 to our left, heading for Otisville, but in Otisville. So I have no idea where they were coming from, but they were again high enough to be viewed. And I said, boy, if the police are out, you know, they could just follow the lights. So that's all I have to say about that. And I do have several questions, which I'm just going to read because there are several questions. And I'm going to give you a copy, Chad, of my questions, and I'll give one to David, and I'll give one maybe to Brian to share. You know, just so you all have a copy if you want it, you can throw it away. But if you don't answer me, I'll ask it again. So, that being said, it's about the 4-H property. And I believe I even skimmed the minutes, and it was said that you might have more information this evening about the 4-H property sale, or possibility of sale.
Yes, we were waiting, we were hoping that their attorneys had signed the contracts, and we would be voting tonight to sign contracts on our end, but that has not happened, so I don't have a contract to go off of to tell you any information.
You mean a contract of sale?
A proposed contract of sale, yes.
Okay, well, with that said, I'm not going to mute my questions. I'm going to ask them anyway, for the record, on the record.
Okay.
And I would just like to know, you know, going forward, you're into almost signing a contract, correct? I wanted to know, without knowing that before just now, will the town have the land assessed for value? What was the original purchasing price? How much is one or more comparative acres of Mount Hope land worth today? What is Cornell's offer for 56 acres? Is that land still parkland or simply town-owned land? If it's parkland, it cannot be sold without state legislation. I know that's been done in the past. Mr. Bonisick has waved his magic wand. Such land sold, to the best of my knowledge, has to be replaced. What will new land cost? Will the town board pass a resolution to have a public vote for sale and bypass a petition referendum? Which town budget A or B is the town property and or parkland maintained out of? And if it is budget A, the village of Otisville is included in that. And thereby it might want to have a opinion on it. Is there new land available? I'm almost done. Shouldn't the town make some fair amount of profit on the sale, at least current assessment value, if it's now more than the original price paid? The new Otisville School is built on former town parkland, traded for the old school building. And the new land where the 4-H is right now was purchased as a replacement for that parkland, as far as I know. And what has the old school cost the town to date, including insurance? And if you do sell the land, what are you gonna do with the money? You may have to buy more land, obviously. You could use it to pay whatever the old school future costs are going to be. Or you could give the public a tax break. And, you know, that's the end of my questions, but I don't understand how you can be almost signing a contract of sale without considering all of the above that I've just read, and not even giving the townspeople an idea of how much you're selling it for, how much it was purchased for before, you know, all of the above. And I don't know if anybody else has an opinion on this, but I think some of my questions at least were good. You know, to know the answers before you just go ahead and sign on the dotted line. And as I said, I will give you a copy of these if you think you can respond to them in a timely manner, or will you? Would you?
Some of them probably, some of them probably not.
Okay. Again, I'm gonna ask, why are you going into it? Don't make me pull it, you know, I don't wanna drag information, I'm just asking questions. And why are you going into a contract of sale without even bringing it out to the public as to what the monies are or anything about it?
Well, as soon as we know exactly what the monies are, we have a fully executed proposal, let's say, which we still don't have. I'd rather not tell you one thing and then that's not the
Okay.
actual price, so that just becomes a whole gossip thing. Some of your questions, you know, we traded the property where the Otisville School is for the old school.
You didn't.
Well, it doesn't matter, but my point is, that money, those monies I'm still dealing with now from the comptroller's office, because those monies were paid for out of B, and parkland's not supposed to be bought out of B, because I don't go there with a sign and say, hey, you're from the village, get out of the park. It's supposed to be bought out of A. So there was never a loan payment to pay this money back. So the comptroller is now contacting us saying, hey, even though the town never had to finance it, we had the money. It was taken out of a B account, it should have been taken out of an A account. So my thought process is, that was $550,000 that technically A owes B, if I'm not confusing you too much.
No,
That
you
money
can write
has
it
to
down
be,
for me.
that money has to be paid back. That money has to be paid back, and the comptroller's gonna wanna see, the only payments that have been made on it so far is the three $1,000 payments that Cornell has paid us for property, has went towards paying it back. Obviously, $3,000 on a $550,000 loan is kind of like pissing in the wind, it's not really doing much, but it's a start. So,
Well, as I said, I have copies of all of this. I'd like a response of some sort to.
Well, I think as we have stuff, we're gonna respond to things, and.
But I just
it's-
feel that the public should be well informed, and as I'm sure you do as well. But I was afraid that it was gonna be a done deal, and, because I heard last meeting, they said, oh, we have an offer to give you.
And it's, everything is gonna be, obviously, when the 5 of us are elected, there's certain things that we're allowed to put out, as far as like, hey, let's just all get together and vote on it. And there's certain things that we're not, but that's why permissive referendum's available. So you're not always gonna, or not everyone's always gonna agree with the decisions that the board made. And quite honestly, when it's a huge thing, Angel, I can't agree with you more. I would love that we just, come in every other Tuesday and let's vote on the big things. But the more that I'm involved with it, that's just not the way that it happens. It's awesome that I see a lot of the same faces here, but it's 50 people out of 8,000 people. So I'm not really getting I'm getting 50 people that are really, really interested in what direction the town goes. But the other 7,950 people also have a say. So I wish I could just say, hey, come down and throw your suggestions in the mailbox, and they would do it. And we could tally them up and do what the people want every single time.
But when it all comes to the end, before the signing on the dotted line, you could pass a resolution to have a public vote and save people a lot
No, you
of time
cannot.
and trouble? No?
No, you cannot. Can't.
You can't.
Can't.
So you have to do it by permissive referendum.
You have to do it that way, but I can assure you that the ball, number one, the ball is in our court. Listen, we're gonna take 300 years to get the money that we're gonna get off of this property on the initial offer. I can guarantee you that. So I don't think any of us are gonna be here in 300 years. And that money is gonna be better, well spent. We're losing nothing. Any kind of interest that the town has in Cornell, it's still gonna be there. It's not moving. They're staying there. So all of the benefits from Cornell, whether it's you wanna go see the cattle shows or you wanna go to their fundraisers or whatever it is, we're not losing any of that. We're just simply getting out of the landlord business. We're a municipality, shouldn't be a landlord. So I'm 1,000,000% behind it, and quite honestly, I'll say it publicly, I'd sell it as a loss, because I think we lose money on it by doing it this way, but we're not gonna sell it as a loss. We throw money away. That's throwing money away to lease that property for $1,000 a year for 56 acres is ludicrous.
I'm not saying you should sell it for $1 zillion more than it's worth, but you should find out what it's worth now, I feel.
What we have done is we have taken the 92 acres, divided it by the amount of money that we paid it, and we're gonna ensure that Cornell offers more than we paid per acre when we bought it. So the town will make money on it. I can assure you that.
Okay. Would you like a copy of my question?
I would love a copy of it.
I'd like as many answers as you can provide.
Okay.
Please. And I voted for you, Chad.
Thank you.
So, and you know I did, so. I'm not against you, I'm not against the 4-H. But I do have certain standards that at least I try to propose to say, well, right is right and wrong is wrong, and if I'm wrong, let me know. Or if you want to explain something to me, explain it. But I will never stop asking questions, I'll tell you that right now.
But we learned we couldn't have a public vote on it tonight, see? So
Yes.
we learned something.
Yes, I knew about public referendum, but I didn't
Okay.
know you couldn't make a resolution to save us a lot of time.
Yep.
But if the proposal is good, you may not need one.
Exactly. That's our thought process. Anybody else? Frank, come on up.
Yeah, Frank Ketchum, Town of Mount Hope. First of all, I'd like to thank you for clarifying the question in regards to the solar laws number 4 and 5. Thank you for getting through that so quickly.
Well, yeah, we just ironically had a meeting tonight, so I reached out to him after I got your thing. It was perfect. Good.
One of the things I'd like to clarify in regards to the Otisville School, I was on the town board when Minnesink Valley was looking to build an elementary school, a new elementary school. And we wanted to keep an elementary school in Mount Hope on this side of the Minnesink School District. They were looking at building one in Greenville or on their main campus. And that is the reason that we dealt with Minnesink Schools in regards to that property back there. And originally the property that we were looking to give was back in the woods, back far in that corner. When the engineering came about, they claimed that that was wooded wetlands, and that whole site slid forward, right? There was never any comment about the Otisville School until after that deal was done, right? Finally, Minnesink came to us and said, look, we're looking to get rid of the school, do you guys want it? And we said yes. We took it. We had the dream of making it into our town hall, our courts, our police station, and many of our services would be centered out of that building. But I say, over the years, I continue to hear the story that it was traded for that property. It was not traded for that property. It was an afterthought. And we also thought that if Minnesink Valley sold that building, whatever monies came out of that would be split between the Minnesink School District. If Mount Hope owned that building and we decided to sell that building, the monies would come here to the town of Mount Hope.
So that building wasn't given to us in lieu of the property?
No.
So what were we given for the property?
Nothing.
So
The
we
ability,
gave them the property?
we gave them the property, the ability to have an elementary school here on this side of the Minnesink District. And I think, you know, Otisville School has always been something very special to the Minnesink School District and special to our community here, and that was our main objective, is to keep it here. And, yeah, that was the decision that was made at the time.
So we subsidized the entire Minnesink Valley School District as a gift. We gave them that property. How is that possibly legal? That's not possibly legal.
The taxes didn't go down.
That's that.
Thank you, Town Board for that.
No, listen, I can't agree with you more. I absolutely love the Otisville School, but I think it should have been the burden of Minnesink Valley and not Town of Mount Hope. But it's here now. Like, listen, I
It's
have
here
one
now.
bad thing to say about
It's
the
here now.
Otisville School. It's beautiful.
Right? I just want to clarify that.
I
What
have
happened
one
when
other
we were-
question, if I may.
You can, but you can after he's done.
Okay, I will.
You're all night for me.
No, you won't be.
So as far as Otisville School went, we owed nothing back to the town.
Okay.
One thing I was gonna say when I first got up here, I said, I'm glad she's on your side, Jim.
Can you imagine?
Time Warner, I wondered if you guys got anywhere with Time Warner?
Yeah, I actually spoke to them today. I spoke to the head of the legal department for New York State. They don't have a more recent franchise agreement on record than was signed in 1982, which likely expired in 1992. So based upon that, we are now going through the process of putting together a brand new franchise agreement. I just got the papers today. I'll be looking at them this week. I was told that the practice has generally been that they would require 35 homes per square mile to provide coverage. However, since the merger, apparently Charter wants to be a little bit more aggressive in going below that number into more rural areas. So they think that they're depending on information that they have, which I would have to get from the residents and from the town, that they possibly would be able to cover those areas. They're expecting to be able to, but they can't say for sure until they actually see the maps and the density and all that. So we are working on it. The process for the franchise agreement began today. They sent their model agreement to me. I have not had a chance to look at it today, but will be within the next couple of days, and then getting back to them with any revisions.
And literally, Frank, we have probably 10 TVs throughout Mount Hope that municipalities don't pay for the cable. It's part of the franchise agreement. All the TVs are black. We've worked on Time Warner for 3 months ourselves now, trying to get the little boxes so that we can get basic reception. That's all we get is Weather Channel, you know, simple little channels, and I think they knew that this merger was coming, so literally nobody responds. Paul's called probably 100 times. The highway guys would like to watch a little TV during their lunch break. All of the TVs are black.
Good dish.
And they don't seem to get back to us, but now that correspondence that Kathleen read came in, I think, Friday of last week or Thursday, saying that the merger is complete, so hopefully we have a point of contacts now that will work with us.
Deer Park Commons, last week, or last meeting, when I asked about it, you had said you had received a big set of plans in regards to it, and I had the opportunity to review it. They let me do it, and those are for Dragon Springs buildings, and they're, has nothing to do with Deer Park Commons.
That is all that I have, but that's, of course, that's why I like to see, that's all I have. I got confused, I thought it was all the same inquiry that you were asking about.
Mm-hmm. They claim it's totally two different places. But again, Deer Park Commons is something that will affect the town of Mount Hope. Route 211 will be a major entrance to it, and you know, a lot of traffic will come through Otisville and Mount Hope. Dragon Springs has a ZBA meeting this Thursday night regarding an illegal non-conforming driveway that they created on Galley Hill Road, and a 8-foot fence that they're going to build around their whole facility over there. And the first page of that set of plans that you have shows the fence traveling right along the border between Mount Hope and Deer Park. And I know the engineer for the town of Deer Park has recommended that they have a survey, property line survey of that. And I think that would be good for the town of Mount Hope to send a letter requesting that it be surveyed and make sure that it's in the right location. But I guess that's enough. Thank you.
You got it. Anybody else? What? You're up.
Anybody else besides me? Well, I'll just address the board, Mr. Ketchum. I can't address Mr. Ketchum, this is a fun thing. But I'm gonna call him back up here, obviously, because after the fact of whether they gave the town, I didn't realize or remember that he was on the town board when that occurred. And I'm gonna ask the question and ask Mr. Ketchum to come up and answer it. The question is,
You just ask me and I'll ask Frank, how about that?
okay, that's good.
All right, go
That'll
ahead.
work.
Go ahead.
That the deal was made, whatever it was, and the old school became town property. And then it sat there for years without anything being done to it, in disrepair, without so much as a window being boarded up on it, and I want the reason for that.
Is there more than one question? That's it.
I don't think so.
Frank, can you?
Soon after the deal was completed, I worked for New York State Department of Transportation as an engineer. I received federal funding on my project. Due to the Warren Hatch Act, I could not continue as a town councilman and work for the state receiving federal money. So I had to leave the town board. John Bell got sick and died, and Bill Novak was a procrastinator, we'll say, I guess, and nothing happened with the bill. It's sad. But, I mean, I've definitely tried to make things happen with that building ever since. I mean, I've been on many of the committees in regards to it. But, I said that was always the...
Recent committees, there were never any committees that I'm
All right.
okay.
Diane, you got something?
Just really brief. I promise. I don't want it to sound like I'm beating a dead horse because it's fireworks, but just following up on what went on at the village
You're
meeting.
gonna slash it, Jim.
He mentioned here, as well as at our meeting, that what his concern is that this will snowball. I mean, we know there's one offending area, but that other people have seen this and then next year may say, well, it's okay, because I think there's some confusion in people's minds as to what is okay and what isn't okay. One of the recommendations that was made at our meeting, and it may have been by Lee, it was by one of the residents who was there, was that prior to the 4th of July next